Do you know the 14 traits of successful chiropractors? We've interviewed some of the top chiropractors in the industry and have identified the common traits that they all share. Jump on over to www.chirobusinessmojo.com to get your free report today.
Welcome to the Chiro Business Mojo podcast, where we deconstruct the methods, marketing, and mindset of successful business people and chiropractors from around the world. And now your host, Dr. Richard Day.
Hello, I am Dr. Richard Day, and this is the Chiro Business Mojo podcast. Hello once again, and thanks so much for spending part of your very valuable day with me. Well, today on the show, I've got Dr. Brian Stenzler. He received his chiropractic degree from Life University in 1998, where he received honors in clinical excellence. In 1999, he received a master's degree in sports health science from Life University, and he's also a certified ULT facilitator and corporate consultant and provides wellness and lifestyle coaching and consulting for businesses around the globe. In 1996, Dr. Stenzler and his business partner, Dr. Gregg Baron, created the concept of D.R.E.A.M wellness. That's a practice whose ultimate purpose is to bridge the gap from the current reactive system of healthcare toward a proactive model of wellness by providing the tools and venue for one's journey. His career is highlighted with numerous accolades, including the 2003 New York Chiropractor of the Year from the New York Chiropractic Council and the 2012 San Diego Doctor of the Year from the CCA San Diego. And he's been recognized by the American Red Cross for assisting the rescue and relief workers at Ground Zero following the 9/11 tragedy. Dr. Stenzler served as the president of the California Chiropractic Association from 2014 to 2016, and California is the state which houses close to 20% of the profession, at least at that time in 2014. He currently serves on the CCA board as the immediate past president, a founding board member of One Chiropractic, and the District 5 director of the Congress of Chiropractic State Associations. And he is also on the board of directors for the Senior San Diego Games Association. Welcome, Dr. Brian Stenzler.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Well, thanks so much for joining us on the show today. Feel free to jump in there and fill in any of the gaps I may have missed in your bio.
Oh, I think you pretty much nailed it. Thank you.
All right. Well, just looking at your bio, you have achieved so much in the chiropractic profession. Can you share with us some details about any of the previously mentioned highlights or something that we didn't get to?
Yeah, well, there's so much that's going on. As you mentioned, I do own a company called D.R.E.A.M Wellness. Wellness centers located in Del Mar, Pacific Beach in San Diego, and there's a couple locations with my partner in New York. We've got that going on. I'm also a founding board member, as we mentioned, for One Chiropractic, which I'm just loving what's going on there. And Baron, our executive director, is just doing a kick butt job with that. And yeah, I mean, you pretty much nailed everything in the intro, and just excited to share what we've got going on here.
Yeah, I'm fairly new to hearing about One Chiropractic, and I think it's such a great movement and such a great concept, and I really hope people embrace it and see the good that it can do, the potential it has to really unify what it is we're after, which I always think we have so much more in common that we don't. Why not band together and have some real power and a real voice?
Absolutely, and that's what it's all about.
Well, let's talk a little bit about your current business. Tell us about D.R.E.A.M Wellness.
Yeah, so D.R.E.A.M Wellness is a concept that I started. I have business partners. You mentioned Gregg Baron. We came up with this concept back when we were at Life University. I started there in 94, and he and I started talking about this in 96. And the concept of D.R.E.A.M Wellness was to really help build a place that people can learn to live a life of abundance from above down, inside out, to learn that good enough doesn't have to be good enough anymore. And really understand, A, what the 5 facets of wellness are, and B, sort of a Trojan horse, if you will, to bring the chiropractic knowledge and the nerve system's role in health and well-being to the general public, the population that has no idea that chiropractic is even fits in the same message as in terms of staying healthy, other than back or neck pain. So that's really where D.R.E.A.M Wellness came from. It's a Trojan horse more than anything else.
Now, is it designed as something for the public? I get that sense, but is it also a coaching program?
Not so much in coaching right now. As we start developing more and more centers, the idea will be to fill it with other chiropractors, and we'll be coaching the chiropractors that are part of us. But no, we're not coaching chiropractors right now. The coaching that we're doing for the most part is to the general public, coaching them about health and wellness and educating them on the importance of the nerve system's role when it comes to health and well-being.
Well, you mentioned the 5 facets of health. What are those?
Yeah. So D.R.E.A.M is an acronym for the 5 facets of wellness. Some people might have heard these in some variation or some form before, but they go as diet, relaxation, exercise, being in adjustment, and mental wellness. So we teach everyone that everything that goes into your body from the outside world to the inside world. It's everything you eat, drink, taste, touch, smell, feel, hear. All the movies you watch, all the people you spend time with is just as much part of your. Many of us remember the old computer term GIGO, garbage in, garbage out. Well, we teach people that if you put garbage in through your senses, you're going to get garbage out. And so that's not only including like sugars and GMOs, but even naysayers, people that say you can't do this, or watching the news before you go to sleep. That is much malnutrition as something bad that you consume through your body. Relaxation is giving your body a chance to call time out, to reset, repair, regenerate, and rejuvenate yourself. It's a state of refreshing tranquility where you actually heal. So you can do this through prayer, meditation, obviously massage, chiropractic, acupuncture. And one of the things that's important to understand is these facets are not services or product living, and everything you do in your life has an impact on all 5 facets. And then E is exercise. That is any activity that requires physical or mental exertion. And then I'm going to skip A for a second. M is mental wellness. That's connecting your inner purpose and passion to your outer goals and tasks in all phases of life, being right with your self-esteem, self-worth, self-values. It's creating a life for yourself where when you wake up in the morning, instead of saying, oh, God, it's morning, you're waking up saying, oh, God, it's morning. Like you're excited about it. You're ready to take on the day. And then the last facet of wellness is the A. That's being in adjustment. That's being in balance mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally, and having optimal communication between the brain and the body. So we teach people that when you live a strong D.R.E.A.M, you should stay in A, which is being in adjustment. One of my mentors, Dr. Chris Kent, always talks about that one of the goals of chiropractic should be making the need for adjustment obsolete. Whereas, as Dee and BJ Palmer even said, is educating people and letting them know about the causes of subluxation is extremely vital to our profession. And no way am I saying that chiropractors should be handling nutrition problems and massage and exercise and all those. Some chiropractors like to do it. I personally have a nutritionist in the office. I have personal trainers. I have massage therapists. We've got all different types of practitioners in Dream Wellness. So I can focus on being the best chiropractor, finding subluxations and correcting subluxations, because there's nobody else that does that. But if we ignore what causes subluxations, all we're really doing is treating effects, not even the cause. So, and that's really what the purpose of D.R.E.A.M is about, is teaching people those 5 facets of wellness, whereas people already know, well, they have to eat right, they have to exercise, they have to sleep well, they have to do this, they have to do that, but they never incorporate in there the necessity for a fully functioning nerve system. And that's why I refer to this as the Trojan horse in a good way, to basically make sure that people understand the role of the nerve system in someone's overall health and well-being.
Now, how has that been received by the patients that come in? Because, you're right. When a patient comes in and they say, my neck hurts, what can you do to help me? They are not even aware of all the contributing factors that you've identified and how they could benefit from making changes in their life. So obviously it's going over well, right?
Oh, it's fantastic. Look, it's one of the things where the people that come in for chiropractic care, we obviously educate them on the importance of the other facets of wellness. It goes without saying, because we don't want to be treating this all the time in just, the effects. But the place where there's the hugest value is when people come into our centers for other services, like a nutritional visit or a personal training session or a massage. They get to meet with me or one of our other providers, one of our other doctors, and we do a scan on them. We talk about the nerve system. So we personally like to use CLA's equipment, the inside subluxation. We use heart rate variability. We use surface electromyography. We use thermography. And so we offer anyone that comes through the office an opportunity to get an EMG if they're coming in for massage or for a personal training session, or if they're coming in for nutrition, maybe we'll do heart rate variability. So we'll offer them one form of a neurological evaluation first and tie it into the service they came in for. And then when they ask the question, well, how do I fix this? That's when I bring chiropractic into it. So it's kind of like doing screenings in my own wellness centers. Rather than me having to go to the local gym or GNC, they come to me, we introduce them to this, and we don't talk about chiropractic if they don't ask. It's only when something shows up that represents nerve interference, and they say, how do we fix that? Or they show some level of interest in it. And that's where the power of Dream Wellness really comes in.
Well, what is exciting you about Dream Wellness today?
I think that what's exciting me most is we are doing, one of my goals was to do a corporate talk a month. And then my goal was 2 a month. And right now I've got 1 to 2 a week scheduled. But what excites me the most about it is the talks that I'm doing are coming to me. I have not done a single cold call to a company. They're coming to me asking me to do talks in their companies, and they're paying me a decent amount of money for it as well.
Well, this is a perfect segue because I want to move into success in chiropractic and how chiropractors can become more successful in practice. And corporate talks is a way to do that. We could probably devote a whole show on how to put together a corporate talk and how that works. But could you share with us just a little bit of how you've approached it and what has worked for you?
Well, for me, because we're called Dream Wellness and not Dream Chiropractic, I am opening myself up to a world out there of people who don't see chiropractic in this world. So I have a very good website that I actually built myself. It was nothing fancy. I don't pay for any fancy SEO or anything like that. I built it in WordPress. It's a nice website. And anytime a company in San Diego is looking for somebody to do lunch and learn talks, corporate wellness programs, or anything like that, somehow I show up really high in the Google ranks and the Google searches. They fill out an online form. I find out exactly what I need to know about the company, from their demographic, how many employees do they have, what are they looking for. It's a very extensive sheet that they have to fill out beforehand. So when I call them to talk about it and negotiate what type of talks we're going to do, I already know so much of the information that I need to know. So having the opportunity for them to reach out to me is number one, because that puts me in the driver's seat, rather than a lot of chiropractors are calling the companies and pretty much begging for an opportunity to get into the companies. And then I think when you do the talk, one of the other selling points that I do is I say, I'm not bringing any business cards there. I'm not there to sell anything, which is not a good sales tactic. But again, they're paying me to be there. So I want them to know that I'm not there to sell their employees. And they feel very comfortable with bringing me into their company, and their HR people refer me to other HR people. So it's pretty much a built-in thing for me. I've been very grateful for those opportunities.
Well, thanks for sharing those strategies with us. I think a lot of people may be too excited to talk about chiropractic and are leading with a business card when the attitude is one of service. I think you're going to make a lot of great connections that in the end are going to end up serving your practice, even though you were there to really inform and help others.
Absolutely. The truth of the matter is, you go and do a 45-minute talk, the people listening have no idea what you're saying in those 45 minutes. There are a couple of things that you're going to say that are going to buzz them. That's going to make sense. That's going to make sense. But you know what? Who was it? Maya Angelou that said, people aren't going to remember what you said. They're not going to remember what you did, but they're going to remember how you made them feel. And one of the things that people want is to feel your energy and feel your passion. I've had people that have come to my workshops in my office. They have no idea what I said, but they're like, I just want to be around that. Somebody who's so on purpose, so focused, and so passionate about serving that I just want to be here, and I want to receive the services that you're offering. And that's really what it comes down to. Content's important, but passion is king.
So chiropractors who are listening, work on that. Work on your passion and your focus and make sure there's some electricity in what it is that you are doing every day.
Yep.
Let's talk a little bit about what you think maybe the biggest challenges facing chiropractors today.
I think that the biggest challenge is our identity is so unknown. I think chiropractors come out of chiropractic college without their big why. They don't understand why they're doing it. And quite frankly, I think that the philosophy is not taught in enough of the chiropractic colleges. And even the ones that it's taught in, some of the students are not receiving it. And when I talk about the chiropractic philosophy, I'm not talking about, why are we a lot, philosophy. People think, I'm not into philosophy. The fact of the matter is, if we don't recognize the innate intelligence, the universal intelligence, and that we're trying to just, live to our perfection, and we don't come down into that, from the very beginning, then we're missing something major. So the chiropractor that goes into practice that is not clear on their why is always going to struggle in some way, shape, or form, unless they're just a technician and they're one of those people that just everybody sends all their patients to because they do a certain type of technique that no one else does. The fact of the matter is, the why has to come before anything else that they do.
So is that the single dividing factor between those who are successful and those who are not, or is there more?
I believe that to be pretty much the biggest thing. Bob Hoffman is one of my mentors, and he taught me who you are determines how well what you do works. And so when somebody is so rich in themselves, in their be, and their passion is so great on their why, they can do anything and be successful with it. I mean, we've seen so many different people doing exactly the same thing the same way and getting totally different results. And who it is that makes them up and their passion and their why is different from person to person. So what works for me may not work for the next person. So that's why I'm not as much in the what do you do, but it's more about who you be and what you believe.
Well, we talked a little bit about the corporate wellness talks. What other forms of marketing are really working well for you these days?
I really haven't done paid marketing in a long time, except for I do belong to BNI. I've been in a BNI group, Business Networking International. I've been in that group for about 8 or 9 years. I probably bring in about $20,000 a month or more from that, so I just haven't dropped out of it. I mean, it's a great thing. I obviously would love to do something else my Wednesday mornings at 7 a.m., but the people in the group are phenomenal. So BNI is one thing. Referrals, that's the majority. Internal, our existing practice members are raving fans of D.R.E.A.M Wellness. They tell everybody about us. And I guess the one other thing is Yelp, having a really good Yelp presence. If you provide great service and you get great reviews, people look at that. And then have a website that's consistent with that. I see a lot of chiropractors that have websites out there that are just simply sales funnels. They have very little information. They're just out there to attract people that are in pain, which is fine if you have a pain type practice. If that's in alignment with your why, then that's great. But I don't have those types of websites or marketing out there because when somebody comes in with that, it's obvious that it's not my target market. I don't have any signs or literature in my office about pain. So I think that you just have to be really consistent with your marketing, with your advertising, and with the way that your office presents as well as your website.
Well, are there any absolute no-nos in terms of marketing that chiropractors should stay away from?
There's one that I would never want to say chiropractors should stay away from this form of marketing, but I have a problem with how it's done typically, and that is your typical Groupons and living socials where they're offering 5 adjustments, an exam, x-rays, and 3 massages for $19. I mean, I'm exaggerating, but not by that much. I think anything that devalues our profession becomes very harmful for us in the future. And, I'm all about, profitability. I'm all about bringing more people in. And that's one thing that's great about the Groupons is it brings a lot of people in, but there's got to be a happier balance between devaluing and attracting people into your center. And so that's kind of my one thing that whenever I see those things, I cringe. And a lot of times people are only buying it for the massage that's attached to it. And that ends up hurting a lot of the businesses because they can't always handle the flow. When they do a huge thing for $29 for an hour massage and all these adjustments, then it even makes our profession look, unorganized, disorganized, and, not very professional if they can't handle a flow of a lot of people coming in at the same time.
Yeah, and I think that maybe when people do that, they don't realize that they are attracting a different type of patient than the one that they maybe really want. Someone who is coming at it strictly from a price perspective may not, may not be the person we want to serve, and it's a mismatch really between the practitioner and the patient.
Absolutely. And that's why it comes down to, again, what is your why? Who is your demographic? What's your target? And if it's consistent with the coupon shoppers, then great, do Groupons, but please don't do it where it devalues our profession.
Well, I want to stick a little more with just the marketing side of the profession. So do you have a marketing person in your office? And if so, do you recommend having one of those?
I do recommend having one, but I'll tell you, I haven't had one. My office manager is great. She does a lot of our newsletters. She does some of the marketing stuff. I have some people that have done a little bit of marketing stuff here and there, but to be honest with you, I just spent the last 2 years being president of the California Chiropractic Association. I was only in practice about 8 hours a week. And so I had more people than I can handle. I was basically referring everybody to the other chiropractors in my office, which was fine. But now that I'm not the president of the association anymore, it gives me a little bit more time to really get things in gear and just blow it out and start getting more and more of these centers open. So I do think it's a good idea. to have it, but I can't speak from personal experience in and how it should be done. That's one of the things that I'm looking forward to learning myself.
Well, I want to talk to you a little bit about some actionable content for our listeners. And I want to break it down. Let's do it first for those who are new in practice and those who are maybe have been in practice in a while and now they're stuck. So for the new doc, can you give us the top 3 action steps you think they should be focusing on right now?
Absolutely. First action step would be decide on what type of practice do you want to have and what role do you want to have in that practice. For example, do you know if you want to open up from scratch? Do you want to learn from another doctor? Do you want to open up a practice in another doctor's office where you can learn from them, but you have your own practice? And I think that that's the number one thing. And, how much money do you have? Do you have the funds to start from scratch, or are you better off not? Because I think the biggest piece of advice I would give is don't overextend yourself. Don't go into debt. Keep your overhead low. That is very important from the first step, is keeping the overhead low so you can focus on serving out of abundance, not out of desperation. The second thing I would recommend is really figuring out your why, if you haven't done that already, and identify your demographic. Once you know your demographic, then what you've got to do is you got to find out where they are, and you got to go to those places. So if you say, I want a soccer mom who's, does yoga on a regular basis, will shop at Whole Foods and blah, 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 and is of this age range, then go to Whole Foods. Go join that yoga studio that's nearby. Be where your demographic is going to be. And then I recommend that you make sure that all your systems and marketing and websites are in alignment with your passion and your values and your target and your practice. And you should hire a coach. Absolutely, positively, there's no reason to do this on your own. Find the type of coaching company that resonates with your style of practice, with your philosophy, even if you're not 100% congruent with the philosophy of that company, as long as you know that they're open to letting you practice the way that you see practice and that they're in alignment with your values, your purpose, your mission, your vision, then by all means, you should not be doing this on your own. You should have some coaches, you should have some mentors, and you need to be involved in community. And I think that if you add those all up, it's probably more than 3, but they could all be grouped together.
So would that be the same advice you'd have for someone who is stuck in practice, is maybe revisit their why?
It's exactly the same things that I would recommend if they were stuck, if they were struggling.
Well, let's shift now and talk about the bigger picture of success. And you've been very successful, and we obviously learn a lot from our successes, but we can learn even more from our failures and our challenges. Can you share with us an obstacle that you've overcome in your life and the lessons you've learned from that?
Yeah, so in expansion, I wanted to expand D.R.E.A.M Wellness. I had a small office in a little fitness center, and a nutritionist that I'd been referring a lot of people to, and she had been referring people to me, said, let's open up a D.R.E.A.M Wellness in Del Mar like you have in Pacific Beach. And I was a little reluctant because I didn't know if it was ready to go. And this is not necessarily, I didn't know this person well enough, but she really wanted to partner up with this location. And I agreed to it. And we went in, and, the overhead was really high. And it was very successful for me and for some of the other providers. But the problem was her business was not very successful because, quite frankly, she was lazy. She didn't market properly. She didn't service the clientele well. So I went into business with somebody that I shouldn't have gone into business with. She ended up bailing out on me, leaving me with a $10,000 a month rent. And I was only doing it part-time because I had the other office. And it really hurt. It cost me over $100,000, drained a lot of my resources. And eventually, I was at my lowest low during that time. I had to wait for that lease to come up. I went across the street into a small little box, like a 200 square foot place, rebuilt up the practice, rebuilt everything, and now I have a beautiful facility in that same building downstairs, a little bit smaller, a little bit lower overhead, but at a point where I don't need any of the other providers or practitioners. I can do it all on my own. If it were nothing but me and my 2 hands, I would be fine. And so my problem was I relied on somebody else to help meet the overhead. I didn't vet that person properly. I learned, this was several years ago, it's about 7 years ago. I've learned since then about how to vet. But the biggest thing that I learned from that is don't overextend yourself. Don't go with an overhead that's too high where you know that you cannot, sustain it no matter what.
Well, that's a great lesson, and I think, it can happen to anybody, even someone who's seasoned like yourself, and it all looks good on paper, and then you find yourself in a situation, having to deal with the consequences of that. So absolutely good advice. And I want to take 1 second and just back up a moment, and while we're talking about Dream Wellness again, let me ask you this. Is Dream Wellness set up such that if you wanted to step out and have someone come in the role as chiropractor, that it would continue to function as well as it does today? Or is it centered around you and your personality?
No, absolutely not. It is centered around Dream Wellness and the systems. And a perfect example of that is when I walked away to do the CCA presidency, I brought in another chiropractor. Fortunately, he was a seasoned chiropractor, so I didn't have to teach him technique. I didn't have to teach him philosophy so much. I just had to teach him the Dream Wellness systems, and we didn't lose any money. In fact, we continued to grow. So the idea is to not make me needed in the practice, because ultimately we plan on having hundreds of Dream Wellness centers nationwide, and it cannot be a personality-based practice. It must be systems-based, but the systems are based on our mission, vision, purpose, and philosophy. And so as long as we have that congruency there, maybe the practice will even be better without me.
Well, when you think of success and the word successful, who do you think of and why?
Who do I think of and why? Honestly, this is going to sound really cheesy, but since you just asked me that question of who do I think of, and I wasn't prepared for that, I'm going to probably say Mother Teresa. And the reason is I define success as not necessarily not necessarily getting everything you want, but wanting everything you have. And so I see so many chiropractors out there that want to have that high volume practice, 500, 700, 800, 1,000 visits a week or beyond that. And it's at the expense of their family or their sanity or something else or their faith, whatever it is. They put other things before that because they just want to build a practice, and their purpose is so big that way. But then they look at their life and they have a busy practice. They don't have necessarily a great value to sell it because a lot of them are personality based. But the truth is they don't have everything that they have in their life is not necessarily what they want. So you look at somebody like Mother Teresa, she didn't have very much, but you could tell that she loved everything that she had. And she didn't need anymore and she didn't want anymore. And so I think that that's really what the meaning of success is. And I think that she exemplified that.
Well, do you have any daily rituals, habits, affirmations, or anything that you do every day that help ensure your success?
Yes, I do affirmations on a daily basis. I was a member of the Master Circle for many years, and every time we met, in our seminars, we always had to stand up on the chairs and recite these affirmations. And 10 years later, 15 years later, I'm still doing those affirmations on a daily basis. I've written some of my own affirmations. So I have a personal affirmation. I have a financial affirmation. I'm always doing visualization. And I do, basically what's called the hour of power, which I think Tony Robbins had coined that term, hour of power, which is the time that you take for your day where you do your meditation, you do your prayer, maybe you do your exercise, you read your journal, you do your affirmations, and you just spend time soaking into your visualization of how you want to see your day go, your week, your month, your year, and goal setting. Very important. So yes, and affirmations is something that I do every single day without fail.
Well, as we head into the final stretch of this interview, we do have some final thoughts we want to get to. Do you have a favorite book that you would recommend to Mojo Nation?
I have a lot of favorite books. If I were to look at the most impactful book in recent years for me, would probably be The E-Myth Chiropractor by Frank Savinsky, the late Frank Savinsky, amazing guy. So sorry he's not with us anymore, left us way too soon. And Michael Gerber, The E-Myth Chiropractor, for a chiropractor that wants to systematize their practice and make it from a practice to a business, which means it will operate without you, and it'll function, and it'll be successful, and it'll be profitable, whether you're there or not. The E-Myth really sets you up on a path for that.
Yeah, I read the E-Myth when I was a chiropractic student, and then later on I read the E-Myth for chiropractors, and I couldn't agree more. It's really, it opens you up to the thought process that if you haven't figured it out already, you're wearing a lot of different hats in practice, and you need to sort of organize things better if you really want to get to those higher levels of success. So great ones, great recommendations to check out.
Right. Cool.
Well, what's the best way for people to reach you?
Yeah, they can email me, Brian, that's Brian, at D.R.E.A.M Wellness, like you dream at night. Brian at DreamWellness, one word, .com. They can call me, 858-847-0110, extension 104. So email, call. They can check out the website, DreamWellness.com. Right now, I'm not looking necessarily for chiropractors to open up Dream Wellness centers, but I want to do that in the future. So if somebody goes to the website, they love what they heard, and they're like, hey, I want to open up a Dream Wellness in this area, I'd love to entertain that conversation to see what we can do there. So yeah, but otherwise I have nothing to sell for the profession other than just be great, succeed, educate people on chiropractic, join your state association, join a national association, check out onechiropractic.org, please. See what it is that we're doing there. Baron Huig was interviewed a while ago, and listen to his interview. He talks all about One Chiropractic and the top leaders in the profession that are involved with it. And that's pretty much it.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Brian Stenzler, for your time today.
Great. Thank you so much, Dr. Day. Have a great one.
Thanks for listening to the Chiro Business Mojo podcast at www.chirobusinessmojo.com.